Alrighty then, it's time for a Pantheon game, and this is going to be the first one to break the pattern we've had so far. This one, in that this is going to be a commentary video and a discussion video. Because this game is insanely long, as you can see. We're not going to start off on the right foot, I can tell you that much. In fact, look at this, we don't even start off on the right foot right now. We got invaded, and for whatever reason, Poppy decided after we just engaged to go in anyways and die. So we're off to a very bad start. Either way, Pantheon Mastery Runes and Masteries are Attack Damage Red, Attack Damage Quints, Armor Yellow, Cooldown Reduction Blues, and 18-12-0 Masteries. And the Mastery I took was, I believe, the Deathfire thingy, or whatever it's called. Since the crit one isn't really all that spectacular, because I'm not really going to be investing enough to make it worthwhile. And the Fervor one doesn't seem to fit Pantheon all that much anymore, especially after it was changed. Either way, I get level 2 and I go ahead to do a level 2 cheese. Just straight out go to the Jinx, and this doesn't work out as well as I had hoped for. I thought just to save my W so I could use it on the Thresh instead, but I was forced to use it on a Jinx just to make sure the kill went through. So Jinx was killed and Thresh got away. I was hoping to try to grab both of them and hopefully kill them both. Either way, that rectified a little bit of our shitty start, but right now you're going to just see Nidalee go on a killing spree. So my jungle opponent is personally going to be at quite the advantage. Very soon, at least, I mean. Anyways, as far as Pantheon goes in this preseason, he's not doing terribly, but he's not doing all that spectacularly. I think last time I checked it was around 51%. So, yeah, he still wins a lot of games. I mean, the meta's fast, and he's a very, very, like, potent early champion because his W just does a lot. Well, does enough for the early game. Just hit someone with your stun and then just stab him to death, and that's pretty much how you do as Pantheon. But his win rate as the game goes on, of course, plummets, and that's kind of been consistent with him throughout history. He's not really good as the game goes on. He doesn't scale all too well, and his damage becomes lesser and lesser. So, it also kind of doubly... there's also something important to know. In the early game, he's pretty damn slow to get going because he's not the best jungle clearer, and he doesn't farm properly. So he's a very momentum-based jungler, and if you don't maintain that momentum, you just get crushed. And that's kind of what happened in this game. I already lost all my momentum because the early death and the enemy team getting a little bit too bigger, and then me sort of being drawn into these conflicts that are obviously not that beneficial. I do not get some assists, and I do get some benefit from having fought in them. At least it's not a total loss, but the enemy team is getting far stronger than I am. I'm not getting kills, I'm just getting assists, and the enemy team is also getting kills, so the goal of Pantheon is to be ahead of his opponents by just constantly murdering them or keeping them down. And since my opponents are ahead, or at least the targets I want to be focusing are quite ahead, that means my effectiveness wanes a lot. So I'm not really that potent against the enemy team. Still though, there's one thing I'm going to be doing as Pantheon that some people might consider too risky. I mean, it is very risky, and I normally would not advocate for this, but he's the type of champion that you can decide, you know, might as well gamble it all, gamble everything on this. If you're behind on a champion that requires damage or to kill things, or pretty much any jungler, you can fall back on building tanky and being this pseudo-tank kind of champion. Instead, as Pantheon, I'm deciding to build pure offense. Except later on, I'll be building Banshee's Village just so I don't get CC'd. I'm going to be building pure offense with the idea that if this game continues going down this really terrible path, I might just be able to just assassinate an important character. I could be like, I could have no kills, a bunch of deaths, and very little assists, but if I build myself into being this glass cannon Pantheon, I can execute Jinx and maybe change the flow of the game. That's one way you can fall back on Pantheon. As some would say, my role in this game would be minimal but pivotal. So, yeah, just watch how my build sort of gravitates towards that way. I don't even get assists for a lot of the early fights because I don't hit anybody, but I'm kind of around. It's just I don't have the chance to go in safely or to do anything. So I'm just kind of waiting for my opportunities to strike at this point. As far as Pantheon goes, if I would recommend using him or anything, he's a very easy champion to play, but he's not a easy champion to understand for some players, because you need to understand the flow of the game, the flow of lanes, and risk assessment or whatever. And you also got to be a little bit more aggressive than usual. If you don't understand the flow of how the jungle works or how the lanes will be going, how to read a lane, then you're going to falter as Pantheon. You need to be able to be precise with your movements, because if you go to a lane to try to gank and there's no gank present, then you're just going to be super slowed down and it's going to cost you. Like I said earlier, Pantheon is a very momentum-based jungler, but unfortunately he suffers from a lot of detriments to speed, because he doesn't clear well. He doesn't have the best sustain out of all junglers, mana-wise, I mean. And he just simply doesn't farm all too well. So yeah, you gotta understand the jungle. So if you're a veteran of the jungle, then Pantheon should be like a complete piss easy champion to pick up. But if you're a newer player, he mechanically would be someone you can play, but knowledge wise you might not be there yet to properly make use of him. Either way, as you can see, this game has been quite hellish. Almost 30 kills in 15 minutes in. We keep trading kills. I keep going for the little bits of gold. I've pretty much submitted myself to the whims of the game. If I die and I get some assists or some gold, it's fine. I'll try to just stay level with the enemy, and hopefully my team gets a little bit of an advantage over it. So I'm going to be trying to sacrifice my life as much as possible, as long as I take someone down with me. That's my goal. So my kill spread is going to seem pretty poor, but if I don't do this, then Pantheon doesn't really do anything else. He's a purely combat kind of champion. So if I see a chance to maybe grab somebody, I'll go for it. Like here, I just go for Hecarim, try to kill him as quick as possible, and we do. We murder him. And now we just start to regroup as Poppy is teleporting in. I decide to jump from behind so I can just grab somebody. And Veigar is completely out of position, so he's the first one to die. We're able to recoup our early game disaster and basically turn the tide of the game. Although I'm still worried about them in the late game, because my team is a little bit unhinged at the moment. We're having difficulties working together. Anyhow, Bard goes after the Thresh, and then I get nailed by nearly square for nearly half my health, and we decide to retreat. You can see me smite the wolf right there to gain some little surveillance with the spirit wolf right there, just to make sure we don't properly get chased down and murdered. Now, my build is very basic. Warrior and Black Cleaver, that's kind of all you need as Pantheon. After that, you can build whatever you want, or continue building Glass Cannon. And this, I'm pretty much just hoping that the Jinx never builds anything worthwhile to defend herself, and I can just murder her instantly. And I'm just kind of now waiting for them to engage and me to attack the back line somehow. But Jesus Christ, everybody on the enemy team can blow me up nearly instantly. Watch this next team fight. They're going for the dragon, and oh boy, it's just sadness. I know, I'm just hyping up this little moment, because to me, it was just so sad. We initiate, and Jesus Christ, my team can't get there fast enough, so I get the entire brunt of the enemy onslaught, and I instantly die. It was so sad when it happened on stream. I was like, oh god, I know. As soon as they put the stuns on me, I'm like, I'm gonna fall in here and instantly die. It was just so sad for me. It was unfortunate, but it's likely I overestimated my team's capability of getting there, so it's mostly my fault. Anyways, though, at least we killed an Italy, and we technically don't come far behind there. Like my Poppy is rampaging top lane. The Hecarim can't seem to do anything to her. We're still behind in objectives, and the enemy team is still very, very bloodthirsty. So we're kind of fighting for control right now. Our best bet right now is that they ignore the Poppy and she gets to rampage while her teleport is up, because she could probably 1v1 anybody on the enemy team and distract them long enough for us just to recoup some farm, or at least gain some other advantages. If the Hecarim is not with the team, then it's easier to kill the rest of the homies. They're all pretty damn squishy, and even someone as behind as me can murder somebody if I grab them. Also, I hope you notice one thing. The brand has a shitload of kills, so we're also in that kind of bad spot in which our support has a lot of the kills, and it isn't going to the best champions. It would have been better if me, Brand, or the Caitlyn got some of the kills. Preferably Brand, because we need someone like him to absolutely melt the back line. The Caitlyn gets killed, and this results in them being able to take a tower and begin sieging. It's kind of in a really bad spot right now. Fortunately, the Thresh gets in a really terrible position and gets pretty much absolutely annihilated. Although another kill to Brand right there instead of, I mean, Bard instead of anyone else. Anyhow, for more of the discussion on Pantheon, in every video you've seen me play Pantheon, you've always noticed that I either dominate completely and it's a massive murder fest and I have like 10 kills before 20 minutes in, or I'm behind and I'm just kind of this glass cannon assassin or this brute forcing tank that just kind of runs in there and hopes to attract all the aggro. That's something that's inescapable. If you play Pantheon, there is no middle ground. You either have to dominate the game and shut it out completely, or you kind of become this one-hit wonder later on in the game. You get one volley off a combo before you get killed off, and hopefully that combo actually kills somebody. It's the inescapable truth of Pantheon. It's like Lee Sin, but way, way more dramatic. So if you play Pantheon, you have to understand that sometimes just picking Pantheon and having a bad start means you've already lost the game for your team, probably. So here I'm just doing everything to rectify this. If it seems like I'm doing nothing, it's kind of all I can do. I can't just be part of the team because as much as I'll contribute, it's just a stun and then probably die. I have to wait for the right moment to strike to pick off a Jinx or a Nidalee. They're two both okay targets, and then it doesn't matter if I die. That's my entire goal, so my score will look bad. And I'm pointing this out quite a lot because if you decide to play Pantheon, it's something you're going to have to look out for. By the way, this scene is also fucking sad. We kill Hecarim and the Thresh, but then we're all trapped by Veigar's thing, and we're just AoE down. It was so sad. It's like we're all going to die together. Hold hands as we embrace, Hades. Anyways, I'm still sick, so you'll still notice some of my weird pauses and some nasally voice. But Jesus shit, like my team is now falling apart. I just kind of have to pray for a miracle. By the way, I also got to add this: the enemy team were pretty damn mad for my team picking quote-unquote unskilled champions, aka Brand and Bard, for whatever reason. I'm just gonna let you take that in. And the person who was complaining was the Veigar, so it's like you're saying Brand doesn't take skill, yet you're playing Veigar. Yeah. Anyhow, as you can see, no tower is safe. The Caitlyn is forced to basically abandon bottom tower because she knows if she goes anywhere outside, she'll get. Well, she did get murdered. Well, she didn't get murdered. The Brand was able to show up in time to kill the Veigar, who was about to try to blow her up. So yeah, we can't really push out that much by ourselves. But Veigar is thankfully kind of throwing some of the fights, even though he's super fed, because he keeps trying to go in the front of the team to try to blow someone up. He's a little bit greedy in that aspect. And you're going to notice this in the upcoming team fight. Watch this. I'm going as far away from my team as possible, or trying to at least, so I can just hide. I'm trying to hide from the enemy's point of view so they don't see what I'm trying to do. Or at least I'm going to run right now in the bush so they can't see me. I'm going to wait for the Poppy to be in position, and I'm going to jump ahead of them. So the Poppy forces the Jinx to separate from the entire team, and she becomes such an easy kill for me and the Poppy. I run away, though I probably should have just fought back because they decided to focus the Poppy instead of me, and I could have contributed something more, but whatever. I grabbed the Thresh, I die right after thanks to the tower because I didn't know I was the one tanking it, but still it's fine. It's okay that I died. And we're able to take out quite a victory. I want you to rewatch that back. I was doing my ultimate animation before Poppy had decided to jump on the Jinx. That means I already had my idea as to where I was going to jump. I figured out, or at least had the idea, that Poppy was going to force the Jinx to run that way to avoid the danger, which ended up basically being a death trap because of me and Poppy, who sandwiched her in and killed her. So yeah, we won that fight spectacularly. And this is what I mean that as Pantheon, you can salvage a shitty start. You become this sort of one-hit wonder assassin that grabs a person and absolutely murders them. And it's not the only attempt I'm going to be doing this game with that little idea in mind. Anyhow, you see that I have the Banshee's Veil now, so hopefully I can resist something like a a Thresh Q or a Veigar E and still get my target. That's the whole point. The Bard's ultimate misses, but it's fine. The enemy team is not really working together. They're split up, and we're able to sort of gain a little bit of control of this map. Here, I get grabbed, I get chunked down, and I'm basically forced to be to leave the front line, or else I'll be easy pickings. However, I can still assassinate anybody if I manage to get my hands on them, so I run away and try to get away from the view again. Just so as soon as the enemy front line leaves the Jinx, as they do right now with Hecarim and Nidalee and Veigar's in some nowhere's land, I'm able to jump the Jinx once again. The Thresh fails at defending the Jinx, so she becomes an easy kill for me. Easily murdered, and she's removed out of commission. That's my entire purpose in the game, and that's a very pivotal thing to be doing. Of course, again, the rest of my team are doing far more work than me, but like I said, my role was minor but pivotal in certain situations in the game. Again, killing Jinx is super important. Still though, a lot of the credit has to go with the Bard. He was excellent even though he ended up getting a lot of kills, and he set up a lot of plays for us, and honestly, this whole little part right now is going to be funny as shit for you maybe. My team tries to go for the Nexus but gets absolutely wiped out. Now, an exposed Nexus leads you to know one thing that Pantheon can do in a situation like this. Thankfully, the enemy team is too distracted trying to kill the Bard rather than actually clearing and pushing back the lane, so that's a huge mistake. The Bard takes them for a huge magical journey in which they can't kill him. He just keeps kiting them all the way to her blue. Where sadly, unfortunately, he finally dies. They finally managed to kill him off, but they didn't push back the minions. They just left them up. Or at least they kind of didn't ward or do anything. They wasted too much time chasing after the Bard. So you know, me and the Poppy, who has a teleport, are able just to go sneak behind enemy lines and take out the Nexus and win this game. That was quite a ass-breaking game in such a cheesy way. I don't care. This game was really painful to play, especially as Pantheon, who got set behind. So I'm glad we won it either way.